guest. And he has a small presentation. He's a veteran of the United States Navy. Okay. His name is Dr. Duhur. But we also have one of our Legion members here, and a few of them out here in the crowd. He's the president of the Broward County Nam Knights. Goes by Thunder. His name is Jose Perez. Okay. I'm going to ask Jose to come on up, and he's going to introduce Dr. Duhur. Come on up.
Thank you, thank you. First of all, before we start the introduction, I want to say thank you very much to the Legion Riders, and I want everybody to give that man right there a big hand because he put this thing together. I just had a little idea, so that was easy. He did the work, and he's going to do the talking, so I take no credit for anything. But first of all, Dr. Duhur there is an inspirational speaker in many ways. He's going to tell us a story, or at least, let me stand. He's going to tell us a story. He's going to let us know his ventures from the time he was a child in Vietnam through his travels to getting to the United States, why the United States, his struggles while here in the United States, becoming, serving in the armed forces, becoming a veteran himself, and ultimately going to school, becoming a doctor, and now he's going around on his own dime, doing speaking engagements and talking, and more importantly, he wants to thank on behalf of all his friends, all his family, and the people of Vietnam, the thanks that they have for the Vietnam veterans, special thanks to the Vietnam veterans for what they did. How's your chest? Good? Okay. Blow him up. He deserves it. So, without further ado, I want to present Dr. Duhur.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank you. He's not here tonight, but his name is William Amos. He's my good friend, and he just happened to be out of town. So I want to thank you for the connection. And I thank you for Manny, and also Jose. You guys really shut a crowd. I'm so happy to be here, and such an honor to have you guys present here today, to hear what I have to say about my journey to freedom. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, my warriors, my civic men and women, please allow me to take you back to this night. It's about 33 years ago. That night is the darkest night of my life I ever remember. I was sitting in the room with several others, and we were waiting for the right time to go to the boat. I waited and waited, and suddenly I heard a loud noise from the main door first opened. I stood up and looked out my room. I saw the man with a long rifle. I immediately recognized it was a Vietcong police. I turned to the back door and then ran out the house and quickly as I could. The fear was tremendous. My breathing was so fast. My heart racing heavily, and the panic was unbelievable. I was so scared because I knew I would get shot, killed, or captured and sent to the deep jungle for the hard labor by the communists of Vietnam. My name is Dr. Duhur, and I'm from Vietnam. I was born in the early 60s, and I was born in the war zones. I saw the terrible killings and destructions of the war when I was just a little boy. I witnessed the brutal acts of the communists throughout my childhood. Every night, I heard the sound of machine guns and explosions. The war had thrown the life of many poor families into a complete turmoil. My mother had to work so hard so our family could survive. The communists of North Vietnam have caused the killings and destruction that burned in my brain. They had no regard for peace or the life of the innocent people. Even though I was just a small boy, but I remember very well. During the New Year holiday celebration of 1968, they took advantage of our people who were caught completely unaware and launched a massive attack against the people of South Vietnam. But the communists failed to realize that the people of the South were strong and brave. The South Vietnamese and the American Armed Forces stood up together, pushed back the Barbaric demons. The South Vietnamese and the American Armed Forces decisively defeated the communists in the Tet Offensive 1968, even though the American media misrepresented by reporting just the opposite. After deterring the huge invasion from the north, the people of the South tried to resume their normal lives. However, the North Vietnam communists continue their evil ambition to take over the internationally recognized free and independent sovereign nations of South Vietnam. The war went on. My family, like many others, continued struggling with our lives. Then came the darkest days in April 1975. The North Vietnamese Army launched a massive full-scale invasion of South Vietnam with 200,000 troops that brought the collapse, the Fall of Saigon, the tragic disaster and suffering of the South Vietnamese people. The South Vietnam have fallen into the hands of the communists. We have lost our country. We have lost our freedoms. Consequently, the people had to accept their fate. We had to live under the cruel oppression of the communists. I was just a young boy, and I experienced the first-hand, very hard manual labor throughout my teen years. It was obvious there was no future here, and I knew I had to fight the way to get out. Just like millions of my desperate, frightened people who risked their life to escape the communist oppressions. I knew I wanted to follow the path that my brothers and sisters have been fighting for, the path of freedom. I still remember very well how our men and women fought for freedom. My Vietnam veterans, I saw you there. You have been in my village, scouting and fighting the enemy. I saw you standing tall, heroically, for the South Vietnamese soldiers, defending us against the communists. I saw you helping the sick and the injured Vietnamese people. I saw you protecting my village and making me and all the children laugh. You brought freedom and security to my village. You are our angels. I knew you was serving and fighting not only for your own country, but also more than 15 million men and women and children of South Vietnam. Since you left my village, I tried to follow your path, but the path didn't come easy for me. I tried to escape 11 times before I could make it out to the oceans, but the danger did not stop there. Our small boats were very crowded with desperate people. We sailed for 5 days and nights in the deep sea with strong winds and big waves, and this tiny, unworthy watercraft did not reach any destinations. We were lost. Food and water running out. Fuel almost gone. And the people in the boats knew that they were facing imminent death. They began praying to God, asked God to take their soul to heavens so their bodies could sink to the deepest ocean floor. My dear friends, there were almost 500,000 boat people lost their life through their escapes in many different ways. Hundreds of thousands of people got killed escaping by foot through the jungle of Laos and Cambodia. Their desperate journey was full of great dangers and horror. Their little helpless boat was not just facing a strong storm and big waves. They were under fate. The worst nightmare from the Thai pirates, the animal cruelty beast pirates, beaten, robbed everyone and raped the women in front of their husbands and their families, and then, in many cases, that it killed the entire homeless people on board. I was so fortunate and blessed. In September 1982, I finally have an airplane ticket to go to the United States of America. That was one of the happiest days of my life. I knew I was about to reach my destination, the destination of freedom. People like us who experienced the tyranny of the communism knew very well freedom is not free. My Vietnam veterans, thank you for showing me that you have so much humanity and kindness in your heart. Thank you for showing me what freedom is all about. I know I was blessed and lucky to have a place to escape to. That place called the United States of America, the last stand on earth. But I came here not just to say thank you. I came to tell you that in December 1987, I was very proud to become one of you. As soon as I had studied very hard and learned how to speak, read, and write English, I joined the United States Navy. I joined the United States Navy so that I could serve and get back my great new motherland. Yes, I was standing side by side with my fellow servicemen and women and helped to protect our beautiful and decent world of free enterprise and democracy. I was so proud and happy to serve my new country on the magnificent aircraft carrier CV-66 USS America. What a beautiful name. I have gone through the most struggles to seek freedom. Then I fought to protect it. I realized that people shouldn't take precious freedom for granted. I therefore wrote the book, The Escapes and My Journey to Freedom. My Vietnam veterans, I wrote this book through my eyes. This is the story of life and death, good and evil, hardship and fortune. But the most important thing of all, this book would tell people, freedom is not free. I would like people to understand the real faces of the communists of Vietnam. I also need to tell people the other side of the Vietnam War after the fall of Saigon. My Vietnam veterans, I saw you there, and thank you. I couldn't thank you enough. There are more than 58,479 American lives, and more than 300,000 of South Vietnamese Armed Forces have paid their ultimate sacrifice for the fighting of Vietnam. May God bless their soul. There were more than 662 American prisoners of war in the Vietnam War. How can we ever begin to imagine what our POW go through with the barbaric community of Vietnam? The brutality of the cruel and ruthless communists caused great pain and sufferings were far more beyond any descriptions. My POW, thank you for your service and sacrifice. There are almost 3,000 missing in actions. Decades have passed, but I know the agonies are still with their families. Today, I would like to thank to all those brave souls who ultimate sacrifice and make the world a better place for all humanity. To all Vietnam veterans and families, thank you. I know you understand the Vietnam War Veteran War was the Pope of the Cold War from 1946 to 1989 against the aggressive expansion of communism. Our country was founded upon the noble principle, freedom, liberty, and justice for all. We must strongly reject dictatorship, communism, extremism, and terrorism, which cause so much pain and sufferings. Our leaders and our militaries have been fighting for and defending our principle, not only for all Americans, but also for our allies and friends. In the early 1950s, America has succeeded in protecting and preserving the freedom for the people of South Korea from the invading communists, so that they could have become what they are today, a free, thriving democracy. This is in stark contrast to the militant of communists of North Korea, which is impoverished, starving people. The freedom and the prosperity of South Korea have been the similar goal for the people of South Vietnam. In 1964, our United States Congress voted overwhelmingly to support the Southeast Asia resolution, officially authorized our military support of the internationally recognized free and sovereign nation of the Republic of South Vietnam. President Kennedy had earlier authorized and sent 16,000 advisors to South Vietnam in support of this noble cause. As the war escalating and the invasion of the communists of North Vietnam with the massive support of the Red China and Soviet Unions were getting more intense, many of our young men and women enlisted in the armed forces. I'm sure you still remember the day you said goodbye to your mom and dad and your loved ones and headed to the country you knew nothing about. Dear my Vietnam veterans, who was answering the call from our President Kennedy, who said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. These men and women were willing to sign up for the armed forces and delaying pursuing their personal dreams. You have shown that you put your country first. Enjoy this noble cause. Our Vietnam veterans were the men and women of their times. You gave your energy, your faith, and your devotion to this endeavor, freedom for all. You understood the call of freedom and fought for this noble cause in spite of the great dangers, severe loss of life, and atrocity tragically occur in every war. But American forces completely minimized those tragedies. That is in direct contrast to both the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese Army, which consistently terrorized, tortured, and executed civilians at their standard part of their war strategy. During the Tet Offensive 1968, they executed more than 4,000 civilians just in the city of Hue alone. My Vietnam veterans, the United States military never lost a battle during the war. The United States military definitely did not lose Vietnam. The United States military left Vietnam on the order of its politicians. In the conquest of South Vietnam by the North Vietnam, turned the country into the nightmare for our people. The darkest day of history resulted from the fall of Saigon. The two horrific images at the fall were far beyond words. Millions of innocents trying to flee their homelands and die by hundreds of thousands in many different ways. I myself, just a small boy, I had escaped 11 times. The wound and the suffering was still with me today. President Ronald Reagan said, Ending a conflict is not so simple. Calling it off and coming home, because the price for that kind of peace could be 1,000 years of darkness for a generation Vietnam born. It is so true. The whole country of Vietnam has been in darkness. The entire country of Vietnam now in agonies. What kind of peace is without freedom? Peace, freedom, and liberty need to work together. Once our president, Thomas Jefferson, said, when the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty. The fears of the people, Vietnam community is tremendous in the last several decades. My Vietnam veterans, thank you so much for everything you did for us. Please be proud that you step up and serve your country in fighting for more than 15 million men, women and children of the South Vietnam. My Vietnam veterans, thank you for letting me have this opportunity to speak with you today. But this is not just my voice. This is the voice of the entire people of South Vietnam. Please allow me and accept the voice of the people of South Vietnam. You are always our heroes. And thank you so much for your service and sacrifice in fighting for the morale and the noble cause on our behalf. God bless you and thank you. Welcome home. Thank you and welcome home.
Thank you so much. Will Sergeant of Arms please escort District 9 Commander to the podium.
Good evening. I'm John Vasquez. I'm the District 9 Commander for the American Legion, and it's my pleasure to be here this evening to be with you. I won't be as verbose as Dr. Hua, but it struck me as I walked in and heard Dr. Hua why it's so important, and why it's so important that we do what we do as Legionnaires. Sometimes we notice how complacent Americans can be about our freedoms. They don't appreciate what it is that we have until you see someone or hear someone like Dr. Hua's caliber who comes from a different perspective. And then we know what we've done. We know the sacrifices that have been made. And it's our job to remind those out there who are complacent what it is that we need. We're not begging for appreciation. We appreciate ourselves. We know what we did. But it's nice to hear somebody like Dr. Hua come in and tell us. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your service.